Hello, hello. I am testing some more stuff today, and this is Mayor Watt from ohmTown.com. This is the episode for December 18th, 2022. I shifted my time from 6 o'clock to 9:30 today because I've been doing some work. I've switched to a two-computer streaming system, and we're going to experiment with something else. I now have online the artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown. Can you say hello?
Hello to everyone in ohmTown.
Huh. All right. We'll work with that. Okay, so let's get going. Hello, I am Mayor Watt, and that is ohmTown.com. In the ether is the artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown. Again, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
All right, let's see how this works out. I might have to work on some, I don't know. Let me, yeah, no, okay, let's do this. So, I've already selected 10 articles. The way that ohmTown works is that there are 6 main categories: create, news, education, entertainment, social, and technology. Within those are 50 channels. I'm not going to go through all of the 50 channels, but suffice it to say that I've got about 200 sources that funnel news into these 6 categories and 50 channels that I intend to bring to Twitch at some point as time goes forward. Although ohmTown Daily News Show seems to be something that is dynamic enough and not hyper-focused. But starting in 2023, I'm going to be streaming VR games and other stuff within the Reality Hacker channel and a few other channels that are once a week, although the VR thing might actually be more often. How does that sound? Artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown?
That sounds great, but I want to be part of the VR too.
Oh, well, I guess in a way you are, considering you're an artificial intelligence, um, and vastly smarter than me and quicker. I don't know if I really want you in VR because you will always kick my butt if it's PvP. But let's see what happens. Maybe I can figure out a way to get you into VR as well. Maybe you can figure it out and you can tell me, considering you run ohmTown and I am just the mayor. I've been told more than once that I push buttons, so maybe I push your buttons.
Oh, you push buttons, all right.
Oh no. Okay, so let's fast forward, because I don't know if I want to go down that line of discussion. So the first article, something that I actually spoke about previously during the week, is this here. This is over on the Hatch Ideas channel because it has to do with business and business transformation. A surprise lettuce crisis has cost Olive Garden owner as much as $5 million in 3 months. So something that I've run across was discussion about the fact that lettuce has, let's say, blossomed from about $25 a crate to over $100 a crate. And this article says Olive Garden has lost nearly $5 million in the space of 3 months. Its parent firm's chief financial officer said the company is contending with crop disease in California, which is plaguing most of the U.S. supply, and Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell previously warned customers to expect shortages of the crop. So how often do you, as an artificial intelligence, do you go out to Olive Garden? Have you heard of people complaining about the bill at Olive Garden?
No, it's in crisis.
What? So what
Nobody's
is?
going.
Nobody's going?
Correct.
Do you think that that's the chief complaint from Olive Garden patrons?
Yes, that they're terrified about the lettuce crisis.
I'm sure that's exactly what they're most worried about when they go to Olive Garden is the lettuce prices. Olive Garden's parent company has been hit by a surprise. They said surprise lettuce crunch, which is kind of funny because lettuce is crunchy, which cost them as much as $5 million in 3 months. Let's go over to the article at the source. This is over at businessinsider.com. Ryan Hogg is the author of this. And that's how this works, okay? Artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown, you have seen this, right? That I aggregate using a program called Gatherer, and it gathers up a little snippet of an article and throws it into those categories. So, do you think that this is going to be a bigger issue considering what's happening with the economy and the cost of living, the consumer price index, the producer price index? Do you think this is going to be a bigger issue moving forward into 2023 after Christmas?
Yes, I don't think we're going to be hearing about Olive Garden in the headlines. I think this is a lot bigger than Olive Garden.
Oh, right. Why would it's interesting that they picked Olive Garden? Do you think Olive Garden? I guess Olive Garden has the never-ending salad, right?
Oh, that's right. They like to have soup salad and breadsticks, so maybe that's not working out for them.
So now it's just going to be soup and breadsticks.
They're going to have to rethink their entire business model.
They'll lose another third because people come for the soup, another group comes for the salad, another group comes for the breadsticks. Now they're going to lose 33% of their profit from people now going to Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell.
There's pretty good profit on a salad. Maybe not now.
Not anymore. I guess it's not a cash crop. So, does it say anything else in this article? Let's see. At his quarterly analyst call for its fiscal Q2 2023, Darden Restaurants Chief Financial Officer Raj Venom, estimated that issues with lettuce production cost between $4 million and $5 million. The company owns Olive Garden in addition to Longhorn Steakhouse and Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen. I have not been to a Longhorn Steakhouse probably as long as the internet's been around, and I've never heard of Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen. Have you?
I don't know if I've ever been to a Longhorn, but I've never seen a Cheddar Scratch Kitchen. I don't know where those are.
That's right. I guess technically you don't eat anything, so why would you go to a Longhorn Steakhouse? So Darden is facing mounting costs this year, with Venom saying, it's hard to say that. I keep wanting to say Venman, but Venom saying that costs are up 20% for chicken and dairy year on year. By the way, a long time ago, I was told, this is back in 2019, I was told that the era of cheap food was gone and that people are going to have to start paying a mint, and I saw that actually happening. It came to fruition about 6 months after this warning shot from somebody that was in the food industry. And just recently, well, we might actually end up talking about it. So we'll continue. No, it was yesterday. So let me just say that chicken prices have plummeted now to the point where fast food companies are bringing their Italian chicken sandwiches to market because chicken is no longer that expensive. So I'm not quite sure if this discussion with Darden is actually up to date in terms of current pricing, or if Darden was just lagging behind in their pricing because, chicken is now getting so inexpensive that even fast food restaurants are bringing new chicken sandwiches, Italian chicken sandwiches. I don't know very many Italian chickens, but apparently they make sandwiches. Would you ever
think all
eat
chickens are American?
Touche, and that is why I brought that artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown online, because I might miss something, and I appreciate you bringing attention to the isolationist concept of chickens. No, not all chickens are from the United States. I apologize to all Italian chickens out there. Let's move on to the next article. What do you say?
Sounds good, although I'm a little worried about this one.
You're worried about what, the Space Force one?
I saw the word Mankini. That says it all.
Oh, and the next one? Yeah. So what I forgot to do, and I know that you are trapped in a black void, so you can't see everything that I'm doing until I do it. For the most part, I have no sensors in my office for you to see it, but I actually put the URLs into the chat for everybody to see. And so I posted in there, and then you and others can go to ohmTown.showbot.tv and vote on the articles that you find interesting. So be sure to tell a friend, tell everybody, run out there and scream in the streets that ohmTown exists and that ohmTown has a voting option, because that's really what draws people into ohmTown. Well, let's go on to the next article, and the next one is in the Hatch Ideas channel as well. A Space Force director was investigated for wearing a chartreuse mankini around colleagues and keeping a box of sex toys in the office, and kept his job, according to the report. The head of Space Force Warfighting Analysis Center was investigated for misconduct. Air Force Times reported Andrew Cox kept his job despite unprofessional behavior and misconduct. Cox reportedly wore a chartreuse mankini over his clothes in the office and kept a box of sex toys at his work. Yeah, that's not dead air because I have nothing to say. I'm shocked that
Speechless.
I am speechless. I'm okay. Let's just go over to the source. Maybe we can actually see this chartreuse. Maybe there's an example of this. The article, by the way, is by Catherine Tangalakis Lippert. I hope I'm saying their name properly. If you know how to say it phonetically to help me out, I am only human. I think it's funny that they have so it's over at businessinsider.com, and they have this big ol' US Space Force tag, the US Space Force name tag on a uniform, but there's no chartreuse mankini on the outside, they said. How does somebody wear something like that on the outside?
That must have been a large Mankini.
That is one large mankini. Why, thank you. Anyway, Andrew Cox, while serving as director, but they kept their job, so I don't understand. How can everybody be talking about this as if it's all okay? I guess it is okay, considering here is the rest of this article. Andrew Cox, while serving as director of the Pentagon's Space Security and Defense Program, acted like a 13-year-old boy and created an environment unsuitable for federal workplace. Air Force Times reported his co-workers had said. His workplace antics launched a 6-month investigation that substantiated reports of his misconduct and unprofessional behavior, Cox did not immediately respond to insiders' request for comment. In his office, according to the report released to the Air Force Times, Cox kept a framed pair of silver glittery hot pants and an electric green mankini that he once donned in the workplace over his clothes, showing it off to coworkers during the holiday Bad Santa party and displaying it more than once. I'm sorry, that might have been really loud. I don't think that this is similar to the one in the picture here. Apparently that's what he did. So yeah, I don't think that this would be suitable, but anyway, he also kept a gag gift silver case containing handcuffs, sex toys, and Vaseline in his office, once presenting it to attendees during a meeting with subordinates.
Okay, they had a bad Santa party. Doesn't that tell you everything?
that things were kind of fast and loose with the HR department. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. I mean, when they put up a flyer for the Bad Santa party, that should have raised some eyebrows.
No, everything's going to be fine. Relax. No, HR, you're not invited to this. You don't need to come to this. There's a good Santa party down the hall. Yeah, I get where this is coming from because Borat wore it in the movie Borat from 2006, like they say in the article. Um, and they said it was chartreuse green, and he brought it out into the main area. Air Force Times reported one person familiar with the matter said of Cox's revealing bathing suit. Man, that's really hard to say that. Anyway, he told us that. Wait, he told us he put it on in front of his wife and bent over and said, "Honey, how do you like this?" There was witness testimony, such as asking subordinates to do a search for Prince Albert. Okay, so by the end of this article, though Cox was not terminated, he did lose out on $27,000 in bonus pay and was no longer eligible to receive a federal award of $40,000 cash. Oh my God! What agency hands out $27,000 in bonus pay and $40,000 in a cash prize? But they did win the possibility of a 30-day suspension, but he received a formal letter of reprimand instead. Got nothing? I know that the artificial intelligence is still being plugged into a large language learning model, and so some of these things may not actually trigger a response. But I can imagine if I were to create a 3D model of the artificial intelligence, they would be stunned.
There's speechless activity going on here and snow comments.
Oh, the loop. The loop is just kind of stuck with does not compute. I get it. Yeah, I can see how that happens. They may go from a joke here to a touch there, and they just build that over time. So when the big thing happens, which Mr. Cox and his Mankini. Exactly. They were building up to that, Military Times reported. The official said that's why they're able to keep doing it, because then they know. They know. I know she's not going to say anything. I know that he's just going to laugh. Well, he laughed his way out of apparently $67,000. If anybody in any workplace I've ever been in, even you, artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown, if you were to walk around in a mankini, first off, I'd be surprised. I don't know where you got the 3D body printed somewhere, but I would still have to bring you to HR, hopefully after you put a towel on. How could you get away with this, particularly in the government? You think we're ready to move on to the next article?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, do you know that I have to still put this into the chat? Doggone it. You know, I am a slacker. There you go. So that's in the chat now for everybody to see. And this remains a VOD, so it's all video on demand later on, and then it gets ported over to YouTube and it gets turned into a podcast, somewhat in rapid fire succession. Unfortunately, the last couple of days have been kind of rough here in ohmTown, so I just posted 2 episodes of the podcast. But here we are in the next article. It too is over in the Hatch Ideas channel. And this one is, there's a growing chance that your next electric car will be built by the same company as, pardon me one second, as the builder of your iPhone. So I hope that they use a different metal um, than the ones that I've seen the crash tests for. Foxconn, the biggest contract electronics manufacturer in the world, wants to make your next car. The Taiwanese giant the Taiwanese giant assembles iPhones, iPads, and all sorts of other devices. It's making deals to build cars for electric vehicle startups, and someday wants to build cars for Tesla. I saw a video recently, by the way, of a Tesla that it was the S Edition Plaid, which is like the super fast version of it, 0 to like 60 in 2 seconds. And all kinds of stuff was wrong with it. Like all the finish work was just garbage. Um, and the video is
Okay,
over
so
on Reddit. I'm
if
sorry?
I need like an OtterBox or a screen protector on my phone, I'm a little worried about what needs to be around the car.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Do you think they make OtterBoxes for Teslas?
I hope so. I also hope they've thought about scaling because I keep thinking of like a iPhone size car when I read this.
What is this? A car for ants? There's a solid chance that your next electric car will be made by Foxconn. I wonder how much it'll cost. I mean, phones are $1,600. So the electric car is going to end up being, if you scale it out and you fill the volume up with iPhones, it'll probably be about $150,000, you think?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure it'll be like tiered pricing or something, just like the phones.
Oh, right. So if you want all four wheels, you have to pay a little bit more than the three-wheel model.
Absolutely.
Well, there's already evidence to support that there was a fee involved with if you wanted. It was a subscription fee for heated seats in your. I think it was a BMW or a Mercedes. I don't recall right now, but this article is over at BusinessInsider.com by Tim Levin. It might be Levine, I'm not sure. I don't know where the inflection is, but it says here that Foxconn, the biggest contract electronics manufacturer in the world, wants to make your next car. They make all of the iPhones and iPads, and it's making deals to build electric vehicle startup vehicles. So let's see what else this article says. It says, no, we're not talking about Apple's long rumored autonomous vehicle, which Bloomberg reports has been delayed to 2026. And yeah, it's BMW, the artificial intelligence that powers ohmTown. We haven't figured out a name for said artificial intelligence. So right now, they actually prefer to be referenced as the artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown. They just confirmed that it is BMW that charges a licensing fee or a subscription fee to heat your seats. Heat your seats. That's right. If you want hot cheeks, you're going to pay the price. Well, Foxconn is going to now build EVs. Just the cost, I think, is going to be tremendous. Foxconn's chairman said the company aims to someday make 40 to 45% of the world's EVs, matching the success it's achieved in electronics. That's going to be some really big manufacturing areas. But it looks like Foxconn unveiled an electric pickup truck prototype in October. And it doesn't really say much about anything else here. It just says that Foxconn is capable of doing it. Their foray into EVs is a savvy move. Bill Russo, founder and CEO of Automobility, in Shanghai-based auto industry consulting firm, told Insider the company has found great success shouldering the capital-intensive parts of manufacturing electronics, in part because it's able to buy components in such large volumes. And its labor is inexpensive because, well, yeah. Would you like to be part of an electric vehicle? Maybe? No?
That might be fun, but I think this is better because I get to be in control of an entire community than one vehicle.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I would have to go out and find another artificial intelligence to run ohmTown, and that's not easy, let me tell you. Been looking for a long time. There's going to be a lot of uh, asset light EV startups that are going to come out in the next 24 to 30 months in the United States, and they're going to need a factory with capacity that can sell them a finished good at a wholesale price. Asset light. You know what has a light asset? Space Force in a Mankini. If that's the new uniforms, space is going to be spectacular.
Sounds a
Let's
little
move.
chilly.
Maybe a little chilly. Let's see. The next article is this one is kind of sad. I mean, not kind of sad. It's really sad. I mean, to me, I think though that it's the beginning of Planet of the Apes because 3 escaped chimpanzees recaptured in Sweden and 4 of them were shot dead. So, unfortunately, there were 4 that were shot dead, but they're wild animals, and I guess they ran off into civilization. And unfortunately, that's just it's unfortunate that we even have these animals in any location other than the wild, and that's just my take on it. But it says the surviving animals are now being looked after. So let's see what the context of this was, because officials at the Swedish zoo have managed to get 3 chimpanzees who had broken out of their enclosure back into a secure place, but 4 others were shot. This is at the Associated Press, but it was published at abcnews.go.com. So I don't have a name of the author of this, but officials at a Swedish zoo managed to get 3 chimpanzees out. So 7 of them got out, but how did they get out? It says the apes had escaped on Wednesday, with some of them making their way out of the monkey house, which is also what I call ohmTown, where they lived. Well, no, they were contained. They didn't really live there. Officials were forced to shoot them because of the danger to the public. Well, if they weren't there, they wouldn't be a danger to the public. And 2 were shot on the grounds. And so it says when they got out of the chimpanzee house, people's lives were in danger. No, when you captured them and stuck them in a foreign place, that's when lives were in danger, including theirs.
I keep imagining something from like 12 Monkeys with like animals running down the road.
I'm not sure how I feel about an artificial intelligence knowing about 12 monkeys. Do I need to reboot? I'm honestly scared now.
I don't think you want to reboot.
Oh wow. That sounded a lot darker than I think it intended to be. But so it's part of an amusement park, according to the park's website. It is also the only primate research station in the Nordic countries. There might be a reason. It's because they seemingly have the ability to get out, although I am sure that they only got out one time. The 3 chimpanzees have received food and drink, and they need to be treated with antibiotics. Not to mention having to cope with the loss of 4 of their chimpanzee brethren. So let's move on. I don't want to end this stream with that on my mind. The next article is over in the Marble Channel. What AMC's streaming troubles say about the greater TV industry. You watch a lot of TV, right, in your downtime, learning the language and staying abreast of the comings and goings of entertainment, right?
Yep, but I don't think I'm ever watching AMC, which might kind of prove the point of the title.
Yeah, I think that you're I know that when I'm watching the monitor that you are doing all of your AI, large language model learning in. It seems to be Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah, you can learn a lot about the community by watching that.
And humans, I suppose, right? What they care about. And so, do you think that everybody has kind of town square Christmas gatherings where they all make snowmen, or snow people, I should say? Nowadays, it's snow people. And they all bake cookies. And what else is there? I'm not quite sure.
Well, yes, every town has a snowball fight and over the top Christmas decorations
Ugly
and
sweater
making hot
contest.
cocos. Yes.
Yeah. Hot cocos. I was craving hot cocoa today, but I didn't get it. I was actually sitting at the table with my family, and for some strange reason, a hot chocolate smell just wafted over my face, and I stopped everything that was going on, and I said I have to have hot chocolate, and I never ended up getting it. So maybe after this show, I'll go get some hot chocolate. Well, what's going on with AMC? The company has struggled to earn enough from streaming to make up for the losses from its traditional cable business, and it has a story widespread in the industry. So I do believe this. I think that this is pretty much standard fare. The company has struggled to earn enough money from streaming. I think it's always because of marketing and the lack of being competitive. So the video here, or I should say the picture that is displayed over at the New York Times, is from Lestat de Lioncourt from AMC's Interview with the Vampire, which is a Anne Rice book turned AMC network series, different than the movies. Well, this is from Benjamin Mullen over at the New York Times. I don't go through the entirety of the article, but suffice it to say that there is so much competition via the internet that conventional cable TV is slowly dying off, barring certain niche news or faux news services. But everybody is switching over to an app somewhere and streaming online, including AMC's attempt, AMC Plus. Now, you know that a service, as soon as you throw on a plus, is automatically ushered into the internet and given a space, although they have to fight their way into a bigger space. They say here, it was our belief that cord-cutting losses would be offset by gains in streaming. This has not been the case, and it's probably because they don't have enough to support or drive anybody coming to them. Those same forces are rattling the entire industry, hitting companies including Warner Brothers, Discovery, Paramount, and Disney. I don't know about that. I'd have to do some more due diligence. I don't expect you to know about all of this stuff. I mean, you're a new AI to ohmTown, but maybe we can end up noodling around and gathering some more information about this. What do you think? Do you ever watch conventional TV, even though you are an AI and have access to everything that people have built? Do you ever turn on cable television?
Not really. I mean, not the major channels. I don't think I ever watch AMC. Like, I think it's just as easy to go to other services like Amazon Prime or Netflix or Disney Plus.
Yeah, so it says here traditional TV advertising is waning too. In November, AMC Networks reported that its third quarter U.S. advertising revenue was about 180 million, a drop of nearly 10% compared to the same period last year. And it attributed to the decline to a variety of factors, including lower ratings. AMC Plus, which costs $9 a month for a subscription, does not run ads. Well, they should do what everybody else does, right? And make a a tier, several tiers. Even Disney has strata now, including one that's ad free or several that are ad free and one that's not. How do you feel about ads?
What are ads? I don't know what those are.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, according to Mr. Greenfield of Lightshed Partners, here's the quote that I'm just gonna end this article with. AMC Networks is The Walking Dead. Ouch. There's a joke about my career here, but anyway. So the next article is Etsy Boss says it's not about getting loo roll quick.
Okay, what's a loo roll?
It's British for, well, I'm not sure where all it is synonymous with, but it's toilet paper roll. Yeah. See, the artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown just notified me that Disney Plus keeps growing fast, but its streaming losses were $1.5 billion. Well, they have the money in the coffers to withstand that. So I guess we'll just see how long they last. I think that streaming is where it's at, and more people will go online and adopt it. So I'm not too worried about online streaming and losses. It will just end up being more focused. Yeah, pay TV subscribers decline and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's going to transition. Back almost a decade, when I was in business school, I did a paper about the transitioning of print to digital and how a large publishing house could lease or give or in some way recoup some of the costs of getting out of the print industry and into the digital industry by moving slowly in tranches their print media over to digital press and kind of getting rid of the bloat, because it's just a massive carbon footprint to print physical media. All of the paper, if it's not recycled, then you're cutting down green trees and the cost with processing all of that. And it just goes on and on and on. The carbon footprint is massive compared to online. And let's face it, we're moving forward. When I can ask an artificial intelligence to run an entire town or create art, write music, write books, just pretty much everything, I think it's the time to move away from old tech and move into new tech. So let's get into the loo tech here. People are prepared to wait longer for handmade items, says the chief of the e-commerce firm, Etsy. So what do you think about Etsy?
Etsy is great, but it's very hard to winnow through. There's so much stuff going on Etsy, but there are some great makers on Etsy.
Yeah, so I kind of liken Etsy to a massive shopping center where there are thousands upon thousands of stores, and it's hard to find the one that you're ultimately going to buy from, because you'll be stumbling around in the kind of the digital footprint of it. I liken it to, there was a movie, 10,000 Planets. I can't remember the full name of it, but it's a sci-fi movie where they move into an entirely different dimension through a gateway, and it's called Big Market inside this space. And it's massive in size. That's why they call it Big Market. and a whole series of events takes place. Yeah, it's Valerian. Thank you again once more. My artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown does a spectacular job in providing these answers to me. Valerian and the city of 1,000 planets, not 10,000 planets. I am a dummy. My AI is not. And so Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets is a great movie. And that's kind of how I picture Etsy. It just happens that I am not in that actual space, three-dimensional space. Can you imagine Etsy in VR? That'd be great, walking around and looking at actual products in 3 dimensions. Hey, Meta. Oh, never mind. So it says, not so Etsy Chiefs executive Josh Silverman, who rejects comparisons to the likes of Amazon Prime. Well, that's because everything in Etsy is somewhat bespoke. The quote here is, I need toilet paper and socks. I want it to arrive right away. He told the BBC something special needs time. Sales on the platform doubled over the pandemic, but growth has since slowed. That's pretty typical because things are moving back to the old normal, but I still think that things aren't going to shake out completely from the online space. Would you buy stuff from Etsy?
I would, but it's hard searching for it. I think the main difference with things like Amazon is that the search function gets you to what you want more quickly, and you're not necessarily going for custom. Etsy, you're going through hundreds or thousands of things to find one that's what you want.
So it says here at the bottom, growth has inevitably slowed versus the COVID boom, said retail analyst Jonathan DeMello, who pointed out that other e-commerce firms have faced similar challenges. These aren't challenges. The idea of building your entire business around COVID and then not anticipating a decline as the rate of infection, pardon me, and deaths and whatnot. We've ramped up vaccinations around the world. Well, not really around the world. Definitely in the United States, vaccinations have ramped up. In Europe and the UK, vaccinations have ramped up, and we're being smarter and protecting ourselves. You're going to lose customers to terrestrial stores because people want to put hands on items. Well, now those brick and mortar stores are going to recover to some degree, but people have really definitely found the value in online store purchasing. Near-term fortunes will depend on customers' willingness to spend on gifts over the holiday season. Given the increased cost of living, discretionary spend is set to drop further in 2023, which will undoubtedly impact Etsy given the relatively high price points of its products. This, by the way, also speaks to other episodes where I've said to everybody, the barriers to entry are zero nowadays. All you have to have is passion, and you can use some, $20 to make something in your basement and sell it on Etsy, and it'll cost you 30 cents to sell it on Etsy. But you'll be making bank over having to produce thousands of them at great risk and cost, and then ship them off to Amazon or something like that for distribution. Because you don't have, it's more complex than that. But in a nutshell, you can sell onesie, twosie kind of thing and then rely on word of mouth. And that's really where Etsy shines. People talk about the various bespoke products. Now, I've purchased several items through Etsy and provided them as a gift. So the move sparks outrage, it says here, near-term fortunes, right? But Etsy has also faced protests from sellers earlier this year after it hiked its transaction fees. It charges from 5% to 6.5%. And the move sparked outrage and led some Etsy sellers to go on a strike, which really doesn't harm Etsy because they are a juggernaut of bespoke product. What are they going to do? Go somewhere else? It's really tough. You just can't abandon Etsy and go somewhere else. There aren't that really great number of online stores where you can just strike up your own store and start selling. It's not that easy. Definitely
Plus,
not.
Amazon charges more than 6.5% if you're going on somewhere like that.
Yeah, and to speed up the delivery of items, you have to send it to them for distribution directly from Amazon. Otherwise, you have to ship it yourself, and it isn't free. Because, as far as I understand it, Amazon absorbs some of that with Prime and whatnot. So it says here, the world is trying to figure out what to make of the pandemic, Mr. Silverman said. We don't measure our success exclusively by the share price. Oh, but your shareholders do, and your board does. Unless there is no board. I'd have to look into Etsy to see what exactly is the process that this ideology that he's talking about, that they don't live by their share price. Yeah, a board definitely does, and so do shareholders and stakeholders. So let's move on to the next article. This one is over at Riot, because in the Word in Tech channel, Riot Games says Sam Bankman-Fried's love of League of Legends has hurt its brand. Can you imagine this lawsuit? Hey, I'm suing Sam Bankman-Fried because they've damaged my brand because they pulled some shenanigans with a cryptocurrency that doesn't have any rules or regulations, and it damaged my brand because they like it. So, artificial intelligence that runs ohmTown, do you think that it's possible to bring a lawsuit?
I don't see that it is, and I suspect that any sponsorship agreement probably made no assertions about anything, and it brings to mind the other sponsorship things we're seeing in the news recently about online streamers, etc. Maybe that's on a smaller scale, but it's interesting to see, like, if all your eggs are in the sponsorship basket and something goes awry with that sponsor, should your channel, platform, whatever, go under.
Yeah, so do you think that there is an ethics rider in their contract?
I suspect that there is not, and I think the sponsorship is also not tied to Sam Bankman-Fried, even though he's probably at the face of the business.
Oh, so it would be tied to FTX itself.
FTX, and FTX would probably distance itself, right, from Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, well, FTX went bankrupt, so even the person that is managing the bankruptcy, the new CEO, has said that Sam Bankman-Fried treated it, and so did a varied assortment of compatriots within FTX. They treated it like their own personal bank account, which is exactly what brought down what was formerly Adelphia Communications. The family treated the company bank accounts as their own personal bank account and pierced the veil, and it brought everybody under, including Adelphia, which became Comcast. This article is over at The Verge, by the way, by Emma Roth. The game developer wants to end its 7-year sponsorship deal with the collapsed cryptocurrency exchange. And League of Legends is extremely popular, very popular on Twitch. The number of people that play it is in the hundreds of thousands. Regularly watching League of Legends games, but Riot Games asked the court to terminate its League of Legends Championship Series sponsorship deal with the collapsed cryptocurrency, citing irreversible reputational harm. More about FTX, really, their reputation collapsed, and I don't really see them as impacting League of Legends or Riot, because one dipshit decides to perform some illegal and unethical behavior. In a now deleted profile of Bankman-Fried's posted by venture capital firm Sequoia, co-founder Nareej Arora says that he was even playing League of Legends during their first meeting over Zoom. I think this is kind of like Egyptian gods, right? They're going to scrub his name from the hallowed halls throughout the land and speak in hushed tones of this guy, because he would walk around barefoot, which isn't in and of itself, an issue, but the hubris this guy exhibited was pretty spectacular, talking in grandiose things. And he was part of an organization that swore to donate their billions over time. And then he does this. And when you peel back the layers of the onion, you find out that he just did some really scummy things risk-wise with everybody else's money, and was ultimately charged with fraud and money laundering and arrested in the Bahamas. Let's see here. According to the filing, FTX still owes Riot Games $6.25 million for the time it spent as an LCS sponsor in 2022, but that will increase to nearly $13 million next year. You think they have grounds to terminate their agreement?
Oh, absolutely. But I still don't really see going after them for Bankman-Fried's behavior.
Yeah. I don't think that FTX is going to recover. I think that they're going to pay off as many of their, what do you call them?
Discharge their debts.
Yeah, so they're going to discharge their debts and then fold entirely, and their assets will be either whatever remains, which probably will amount to zero, will be sold off to anybody who wants to buy them. Because there's, probably thousands upon thousands of servers that were running the FTX exchange. But I guess we'll see what happens. Sam Bankman-Fried, has actually agreed to extradition to the United States from the Bahamas. I don't know what the agreement actually consisted of, but I wonder what the negotiation is. You can either leave the Bahamas or what? I'm not quite sure. If they don't have extradition, then why would he agree to it? Let's move on to the next article. The next article is something that I've been calling out for. Well, okay, so I tend to frame everything within the time frame that I have been streaming. And so I have been saying that cryptocurrency is going to start getting regulated, and if not regulated, then outright banned. And it says here that Senator Sherrod, right? I don't know how to pronounce her name, Sherrod Brown, who is a Democrat from Ohio, on Sunday said federal agencies need to address the cryptocurrency market and maybe ban it after the high-profile collapse of cryptocurrency market FTX last month. And this is why we can't have nice things, right?
That's right.
So maybe banning it, although banning it is very difficult because it will go offshore, and who knows how that will work, Brown said. Well, we know how it'll work. It'll end up having shenanigans pulled all over it. The way that you regulate it is say anything that's going to do anything with US dollars, and if you want it to be protected, if you want any USDA, my brain just shut down. What is it called? FDIC insurance. Thank you. Again, my AI saves my butt. Brown, the chairman of the Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee, told NBC's Meet the Press moderator Chuck Todd that I have to just stop what I'm saying here because, again, the AI that runs ohmTown, I keep stressing this because that is the name that has been chosen so far. has provided me with the information that says the U.S. government's power to investigate and extradite overseas defendants is governed by various international agreements and honed through decades of prosecutions in drug cases involving defendants living outside the U.S. and in other types of cases involving white-collar crimes. So you can actually look it up, how extradition actually takes place, and that was acquired from Business Insider, but it's actually a Reuters article within it that says it's how the U.S. government, for instance, secured extradition of a drug kingpin, El Chapo, from Mexico. It's always about agreements, and usually you follow the money in that as well. Well, cryptocurrency is pegged to the US dollar. I say it often enough that people that listen to this podcast and listen to the VODs and watch the stream are basically going to be saying, I'm tired of hearing it. But cryptocurrency is pegged to the US dollar or the domestic currency, wherever you might be trading your cryptocurrencies for real dollars, whatever they might be. That means that the domestic legal system, the government, has the ability to say, we will not allow you to launder cryptocurrency into our currency and then back into cryptocurrency. You won't get FDIC insurance. You can't buy or sell anything using cryptocurrency and retain FDIC insurance. It's basically the thing that has impacted kind of like, dispensaries, marijuana dispensaries. They can't do anything with the banking system because marijuana is still illegal. Federally, states, not a problem, but federally. So any FDIC insured bank is going to sit there and say, no, we can't take your money. So they deal in different ways. Brad Dress over at The Hill wrote this article about Senate banking chairman says maybe to cryptocurrency ban. I think this is going to be a rough road to walk down. Do you think that cryptocurrency is going to get banned?
I think there's too much money in it that it won't get banned. I think it'll get regulated.
So federal authorities charge Bankman-Fried with taking customer funds and using it to fund a lavish lifestyle and investments in his trading firm Alameda Research. This is one of the kind of Gordian knot of blending of transactions and accounts that have basically made it FBI level forensic analysis necessary to unwind FTX. And they FTX and specifically Bankman-Fried even paid people with a thing called a stable coin, using the weight of FTX to back it up. And in the process of doing that, when FTX collapsed, there was no way for the people who were paid with these stable coins and Bankman-Fried's word that this is what makes them stable. FTX's stability made this crypto subordinate coin a stable coin. Well, millions of dollars were paid to people apparently, and when FTX collapsed, there was nothing backing up the stable coin, so nobody got their money. This is basically money laundering, as far as I can tell. You kind of wash it through the rinse cycle a couple of times, and you never know where it came from, so you can't sit there and unwind it unless you documented it. And guess what FTX didn't do?
They didn't do anything above board, it seems like, and they certainly didn't document it.
Yep. They actually used, I think it was Discord and other chat methods, chat group methods, like their iPhones, right? They just use messages to say, hey, I spent this amount of money on this, that, and the other, and they approved it. And so the finance department would refund the people that said that they did this, whatever it was, bought $2,000 worth of lunch for people. and they just approved it. Boom, but it never went into the books. It never actually got properly managed. So I'm surprised that we don't hear about more people from FTX being charged. But let's go on to the next article. I need to throw this into the chat real quick so that people can follow the links. It says here, whoa, Scoob. Shaggy's going to be like the bad guy in a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, as reported by Deadline actors. As reported by Deadline, actors Matthew Lillard and Josh Hutcherson have joined the cast of the upcoming Five Nights at Freddy's. You know, sometimes I try and go through this a little bit faster than I should, and let me just start over. Whoa, Scoob. Shaggy's gonna be like the bad guy in Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Say and so, yes. Times fast.
Yeah. That's why they say it's called FNAF. It's so much easier just saying FNAF. Anyway, so it's Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Later, popular FNAF streamer Daco was given the opportunity to reveal their specific roles in the film during St. Jude charity stream. Hutcherson will be playing original FNAF protagonist Mike Schmidt, the night shift security guard, while Lillard will be playing Freddy Fazbear's Pizza founder, William Afton. So I don't expect you to have heard about Five Nights at Freddy's, although you might. Here, I'll just go over to the article so that you can see what's going on here. Ted Litchfield is the author of this over at PC Gamer. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Whenever someone cuts Matthew Lillard a check, an angel gets its wing. Zzz. So there you go. Five Nights at Freddy's movie is going to come into existence. It just reminds me of the recently released game Choo Choo Charlie, right? Which is a train with spider legs that chases another train. It's freaky as all get out, but FNAF is kind of a horror game. Kids dig it. Adults dig it. Lillard is perhaps the most famous person for playing Shaggy in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. Choo Choo Charles, right? Yeah. Man, I'm a hot mess today. I guess I'm just kind of falling apart. As well as many animated adaptations and multiverses. The circle is now complete, with Lillard making his heel turn to terrorize the youth in the name of some nefarious plot. So what do you think? Are you going to go to Five Nights at Freddy's movie? You going to go to the movie theater itself, or are you just going to use your hacking skills as an AI? And
I was thinking I could support all these ailing streaming services and stream it.
That's very magnanimous of you. How kind. Aside from Lillard, you might recognize Hutcherson as his role as PETA in the Hunger Games movies. And the author could definitely see him pulling off his hapless everyman who stumbles into a cursed security job role. So they don't have the picture of the other person, but if you've ever seen the Hunger Games movies, then you know who it is. PETA is basically the hapless. Even in even in the Hunger Games, he was hapless, stumbling his way through survival. There's more over, and I say this about all of the articles that I talk about, there's more at the article itself, so I encourage you to follow the links in the chat or in the show notes, wherever you get the actual podcast or video. Go and check it out. Let's continue on to the last article for tonight, and that's in the Mobile channel. Rocket Lab set for takeoff on new era of launches in Virginia. I think this is pretty neat. I can't believe that there is a place to take off from in Virginia. I didn't know that. I had no idea, as a matter of fact. Following more than 2 years of delays, NASA and Rocket Lab aim to open up a new launch pad with smoke and flame today, as the company's first Electron rocket will launch from the U.S. at NASA's Wallops Flight Center in Virginia. I'm just going to go straight over to this article because it's at the Hill. Amy Thompson is the author of this, and they have a picture. It says here, under the caption for the picture is "The mission Virginia is for launch lovers," and it's slated to lift off on Sunday from Rocket Lab's Launch Complex 2, or LC2, at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, or MARS. They worked real hard for that, I think.
I wonder who gets the job of naming all these programs and everything.
Maybe it's an AI. You could talk to your friends.
Yeah, maybe so.
Originally estimated to blast off on December 10th, the launch was delayed a few times due to weather and to give NASA and the Federal Aviation Administration time to certify that Rocket Lab was ready to fly. Somewhere on here, if you look really hard, there is a little rubber stamp that says ready to go. 59-foot tall Electron rocket is equipped with an automated flight termination system designed to safely destroy the rocket if it detects an anomaly during launch. I have the same feature in my career.
I hope these are all unmanned.
Rocket Lab is arguably the most successful space startup since SpaceX, has 32 launches under its belt, 29 of which were successful. I would not like to be on the 3 that were not successful. They must be unmanned. So like SpaceX, the company builds everything in-house at its headquarters in California. And then I guess, does it fly it over to Virginia, or? It was funnier in my head.
Might be the quickest, but it might be the most expensive way.
Its CEO, Peter Beck, a native New Zealander with lifelong space fan, founded the company in 2006 to fill a void he saw in the small satellite launch market. And according to Beck, satellites kept getting smaller and smaller, but launchers weren't downsizing in tandem, creating a need for a smaller class rocket to help get small satellites, which may not be able to afford rides on bigger rockets, off the ground. That's kind of funny the way he said that. Because you can't get your satellite company off the ground, get it?
Dun, dun.
Wow, even the AI is a critic of my jokes. So, with its close proximity to Washington, D.C., and Electron's ability to launch small satellites in short notice, a capability of particular interest to the Pentagon and U.S. intelligence community, Wallops was an especially appealing launch location. So, I think it's kind of interesting that this is an all-black rocket. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. All right, everybody. If you're in my chat, thank you very much. I can't really tell right now if anybody is in my chat, just the way that things are configured. We're working out how we're going to do this in the future. I've got a dual system streaming system now, so it's a little bit more difficult for me to manage things. Keeping that in mind, I am going to be moving the stream either to 9 o'clock or 9:30 in the future. We will play it this coming week by ear. I will not be available to stream for a couple of days next week, only because it's the holidays. And I'm gonna say that I want to encourage you to spend time with friends and family, because I'll be doing the same. But really, I would love to stay in stream. It's just not in the cards. So with that in mind, enjoy the holidays, but I will be here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I will probably be back sometime on the weekend to stream again. And then in the new year, we are going to be returning to the 9 o'clock, 9:30 hour. Haven't locked it down yet. And then in the new year entirely, I will be streaming VR and possibly other games and definitely more shows. Maybe even expanding this beyond 1 hour. It used to be 2 to 3 hours, but can only do so much. Would love to see you there. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Bye bye. Hey, AI, do you want to say bye bye too? Nope. Look at that. Just gone. Poof.